Hi guys, I'm learning some new software. Hopefully I'm going to be working out the problems of your practice test. I'll probably get very frustrated a few times, not because of the math, but because I don't know how to work the software yet, but I'm getting there. I'm going to get better. Okay, so the first problem of your practice test hopefully looks like this. And I am going to work out the problems little by little. Wish me luck with not the math, but the software. Okay, so this is about as easy as it gets. Remember, often for a quadratic equation, you have two answers. And that's because there are two numbers that I can square to get 16. So you can do this problem with no work. Just think to yourself, what number squared would give you 16? And hopefully you did not just say 4, because there are two answers, 4 and negative 4. And you can do that by showing no work whatsoever. To show work, if you want to, the process to undo the square is to square root both sides. The square and square root cancel each other out, and you get k equals plus or minus 4. And that's important. You have to have two answers. The answers to the worksheet, they write the answers like this. You have two answers, both 4 and negative 4. But you can write your answer either way, plus or minus 4 or 4 and negative 4. The second problem is pretty much the same thing. You can do the answer in your head or square root both sides, and a equals plus or minus 9. Easy peasy. Okay, for this one, we still square root both sides, no big deal. So x equals plus or minus the square root of 20. The only difference is the square root of 20, that's not an integer or whole number answer. In my calculator, that would be a decimal, 4 point something, but we want simplified radical form. So remember what you do for that. I'm going to try changing colors. Why not? Okay, what you do for that, take the square root of 20, find two numbers that multiply to 20 where one of them is a perfect square. So I'm going to change it to 4 times 5. Okay, then the square root of 4 I can do. So the square root of 4 is 2, it comes out of the radical. So this gets rewritten as 2 root 5. Which means my final answer over here is x equals plus or minus 2 root 5. And again, on the answer sheet, they write the answer as positive 2 root 5 and negative 2 root 5. Okay? So the only difference on that one was, remember, when you go to take the square root of both sides, if that number, the 20, is not a perfect square, then you have to break it down using simplified radical form. Okay, this one, same old, square root both sides. Square and square root undo each other, so x equals plus or minus the square root of 79. However, 79 I can't break down any further. There aren't two numbers that multiply to 79 where one of them is a perfect square. So that right there is the answer. You leave it alone. It's positive root 79 and negative root 79. And that's it. You're done with that one. And this one you can see by looking at it that it should have no solution because there's no number that I can square and get a negative answer. You don't really want to jump to that conclusion if there was anything else going on as far as if there was like a number in front of the k squared. But if you've gotten the k squared by itself and you go to take the square root of both sides, you can't take the square root of a negative number. So this one has no solution, and you can just write out the words no solution. Okay, for number 6, you have to get the x squared by itself first. So either in your head or on paper, whichever, divide both sides by 6 in order to get the x squared by itself. And you get x squared equals 8. And then you just proceed like you did on the last problem. Take the square root of both sides. So x equals plus or minus the square root of 8. However, 8 can be broken down. So again, you've got to do that thing where you break down the 8, change the 8 to 4 times 2. The square root of 4 I can do. So it comes out of the radical. And this turns into 2 root 2. So my final answer in simplified radical form is x equals plus or minus 2 root 2. Or you can write the two answers separately. Same thing.